Hi, welcome to today's office. I've been a while since I've done one of these. I've been rather busy doing podcasts, um, but also I've been setting up a charity for music education within junior schools in the UK, and that's sort of coming along quite well. Um, so I'll be putting some information out about that in the future. Now, today I wanted to sort of go back into some of the aspects of what I was talking about previously, which is about the creative aspect of music being more sort of mythic. I was talking about various folk magic practices around which have a musical link to them. But now I wanted to sort of look at it more from a point of view from a sort of psychological point of view, which to me is sort of more or less the same thing, really. Obviously, my angle on this is NLP, which I've sort of practiced for a number of years, and I use it obviously a lot for teaching music, but also for helping people change aspects about how they can deal with things like performance. It's good for dealing with things like performance anxiety, which obviously, if you think about it, would be really useful for people who have a problem with public speaking, which is, again, if it's another form of performance. So here's the interesting sort of point that I wanted to look at, is how that music can seemingly make some strange synchronicities happen. For those of you who are unaware of the idea of synchronicity, sort of a Jungian idea of how certain things seem to coordinate and match, creating some very strange coincidences and stuff like that. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of musicians will know of this experience where they will write a song about something that's sort of imaginary, and it starts to unfold. There are lots of famous cases of songs written by people that seem to become real. This idea of art, well, reality mimicking art, really. But I just wanted to sort of toy with this idea of whether there is something in the unconscious that sort of resonates with a creative act. And I'm going to sort of suggest that may be why art, in our case music, was so important before this idea that somebody was becoming, it was commodified. Why would we have done art or music, dance, whatever, if that wasn't to sort of affect reality? We know, obviously, that all art forms change us, our physiology. And if you've got a group of musicians working together, their heart rates and stuff start to, brainwaves start to lock together. Now, taking that as just a general idea that you can sort of play around with, and I've done this with a few pupils, and it's interesting the sort of results that start to come out of it, where they start discovering things. Like, for instance, if they write a piece of music about a subject matter that they're as a form of revision, if you like. So they'll write a song about, history or something, if that's what they're studying, and they'll explore the sort of characters and dates and all the rest of it, or events through music. They start to discover and retain that information really well as a form of revision, but it starts to unlock other things about the subject. And it's that sort of thing that the unconscious does really well, which is search out things that it's been asked to do. I always use the example of, if you're interested in buying a new car, and you decide on that model and a particular colour, you start seeing that car. And that is a very common experience. Now, it's not that those cars don't exist, it's just that you start to see them. But it's also the fact that it's like the unconscious has got almost a magnetic quality to it that draws things to it. And I've explored that quite a bit with music, in one way or another. And there's some very interesting results. Now, I'm not doing this from a scientific point of view. I'm doing it from a practical thing about can you influence what's going on musically. And that is really worth giving it a try. So, and let's face it, why did people have national anthems? What's the idea behind that? Everybody get up and just wave a banner and that's it and everybody's going to be happy. Or is it some other thing that actually makes something happen psychologically within people? And I think that's more the sort of line of thinking that we've sort of lost a little bit. And it's worth exploring, because that may be one of the secrets of becoming more successful with music, particularly when you start to get, a following, that it creates some sort of identity. So that's something to sort of kick around in your head about what can you do with music. So a little thing that you could sort of take away with that, if you're young enough to still be at school, start using music as a way of creating a revision. So if you've just done a particular subject module, get all the key points and do a little bit of sort of cut-up type work. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to be running a course on that off my website. So you can contact me for details on that. But you could try something where you start putting all that together and create some sort of lyric form and record it, and then just listen to that as your revision notes. But you could try other things, but we'll explore that in another video. So anyway, good to speak to you again, and I'll speak to you very soon.